There is a track that is considered one of the greatest tests of a driver's skills. Hundreds of turns, elevation changes that literally climb and descend mountains, and no room for mistakes. It is a monster to even attempt. It is the Nürburgring. And today, our competitors will see who can master it as we get ready to watch Round 9 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The Nürburgring gives you a lot to take in. Even those who have spent years of their life trying to master it have found more to learn. Let's help you begin to dig in with our track guide. Welcome to the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Most modern high-end series might use the GP circuit nowadays, but it will certainly never hold the respect and awe that the Northern Loop commands. Though it can be and is usually used in conjunction with the Grand Prix circuit for competitions in real life, here on iRacing, drivers can harken back to a time gone by and just run the 13-mile behemoth this place is known for. Nicknamed the Green Hell by three-time F1 world champion Sir Jackie Stewart, it is often regarded as the greatest test of a driver anywhere on the planet. Just looking at the stats will tell you why. More than 150 turns and close to 1,000 feet in elevation will pass you by in a single lap. Simply memorizing the course is half the battle for most drivers, let alone being fast. It goes without saying that this place is dangerous. Many fast corners lack runoff. There's blind apexes everywhere, and in a couple cases, even modern cars will get airborne. The list of famous turns is pretty lengthy, but some of the more notorious are places such as Flugplatz, Miss Hit Miss, Bravery Corner, and of course, the ever-iconic Carousel. It's not just the places where you've got to move the wheel that get attention too. The Dottinger Hoa stretches for more than 1.5 miles in length. While you would think this circuit would mainly be limited to the track days most gearheads flock to for a chance to lap the ring, it still sees quite a bit of wheel-to-wheel combat. The 24 Hours of the Nürburgring, the VLN Series, and the World Touring Car Championship all still take the track to this day. Many race fans consider this the mecca of road racing, and any driver who is able to push the limits here often quickly garners their respect. Well, DJ, this is going to be quite the combination. This is a car that didn't actually race at the track, though it was almost during the era when F1 raced here.
Yeah, it was very, very close, but one way or the other, Joe, these cars are going to have an absolute hoot around here. It's going to be very tricky to get an overtake done, however, unless you really have to wait for the Dottinger Hoa. That is going to be your main area to overtake. We may see a couple of brave moves, potentially going down into the Carousel, maybe down into Armberg, or into the mini carousel itself. But for the most part, it's a lot about follow the leader here. Downforce is going to be very, very important. And it is going to be incredibly difficult no matter how hard you slice it.
I have no doubt about that. And well, this is a difficult series to try and race in, but as we look at the driver standings, Andy T has been doing very well as he is now 2 full wins ahead of Michael de Turk. Gernot Friesche up to 3rd for him. Just keeps chipping away, but still looking for that first win this season himself, as he's been close a couple times. Marco Kala dropping back down to 4th, as Jukka Tolinen is currently in the 5th position. What about the team's championship?
Well, Joe, in that team's championship, you can see Ligier Gitanes there leading the way off as they go along. Behind them, it's Cooper's Car Fittipaldi Automotive, about 15 points back, with Parmalat Racing Team Brabham 19 points back of them. Arrows Racing Team is going to be 23 points back, and Equip Renault Elf rounds out your top 5.
Now, today's race is going to be a little different. As you can see, only 7 laps that they're going to be contesting out here. It's an open setup series. Well, good luck trying to find a setup that's good all around here. And they have a drive-through penalty at 17 incidents, disqualification at 25. But frankly, good luck getting just to those 17 out here. You're probably going to have a pretty bad-looking car if you hit that many incidents. And not many laps, but they take a while. to get around. But we have heard from the drivers that some of the record times have been broken with the latest tire model that is on the car recently. So you're going to see some fast times, and the drivers will be doing their best to try and take the victory around here, because it is certainly a badge of honor to try and win at the ring. Now, interestingly, also, DJ, they don't have qualifying attached to this session like we usually see. The qualifying's done. So at this point, they're just trying to get whatever warm-up they can in. They got to be ready to go.
Yeah, exactly, Joe. And it's really just kind of about feeling out the track here at this point, getting into a good rhythm around the ring. It's such a place that you just need to feel the track, and as cheesy as it sounds, let the track kind of talk to you and let it drive you a little bit around. So that's what they're doing right now as they wind their way through the hills here, just trying to get that feel.
Trying to get into the rhythm and get ready to go, because we have about 30 seconds left here. So before we get there, make sure and check out the Majors Garage, home of free Baseline Plus setups. Get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more by simply clicking on our link in the description below. Also, if you use our special discount code MajorsGSRC, you'll get 10% off. And not sure, I'll have to check and see if they have a setup for the 79 here at the ring. But the good news is that the drivers pretty freely share setups in this series, because they know it's a bit of a niche group. So obviously they want to try and invite as many drivers in as possible. As we head into the grid now here for round number 9, Severi Seppa has put it on the pole this time, with Pauli Partanen in second. It's Steve Bycroft in third. Andy T only fourth today. Michael de Turk starts from P5. Jukka Tolinen in 6th, followed by Gernot Friese, P7. It's Timothy Reed 8th. Ove Trangrade in P9, and rounding out the top 10 is Isaac Snyder.
In 11th, it's going to be Armando Edwards, followed by Marco Calo, with Nathan Finnegan and Karthik Pai behind them. Pat Meyer will be in 15th, followed by Thierry Van Heiden, with Gary Ho and Barry West behind them. Gustav Licata will be 19th, and Nicholas Geisner will be 20th.
Tim Wilkinson will be 21st. Tomas Bartfai, P22. Then it's Robert Simpkins in 23rd. Andreas Schuster, 24th place. 25 cars here in this grid, with Tim Shoecraft rounding them out. And we actually have 3 splits. They're going to be racing here today. There you see the weather conditions, thankfully, pretty ideal as the engines now start to rev. The lights come up, and the green flag is out as they accelerate down into Sabine Schmidt curve. Are we going to get a clean start? It looks like it's a great one for Partanen, who's going to sneak into the lead. We got a big pileup in the back. Unfortunately, Kayla looks like he gets involved in that. That's going to hurt his championship hopes, and it is a blocked circuit back there. We'll get back to that replay in a bit. So the back half of the field finds themselves all kinds of plugged up.
Indeed they do, but up front, Pauli Partanen able to get that jump over Severi Seppa and starting to lead, and don't look now, but Andy T up 1 position into third, already starting to threaten on these drivers.
What's interesting to note is, just like in real life, you get specialists at this track. Steve Bycroft, known for that, and he's starting up towards the front there in that 4th position. Here we see from the Hoosiers' perspective, and here's the slipstream coming in. Andy T trying to cover him off. Ooh, that was a little naughty.
It was indeed. Andy with a little bit of a block there. I think he knows the speed that Steve Bycroft has, and he does not want to let him by. So let's see if Steve maybe gets a little bit impatient, or if he's able to keep his cool and stay behind Andy T here.
That's actually allowing Partanen and Seppa to pull away from them 1.3 seconds. That's bad news, especially if Bycroft has pace. But, he's going to look to the inside, coming up into Audenauer forced, and just about attempts to pass, but thinks twice on it. I got to think he's going to have more opportunities, but he clearly sees those 2 Finns pulling away and knows he's got to make a move soon.
Yeah, clearly he wants to get up there and get onto the back of them as quickly as possible, but it just doesn't look like he's got the pace right here at this moment. His only real hope, I think, would maybe be going up to Dottinger Hoa to see if he's just got a little bit more straight line speed than the 2 in front of him.
So back out of the right-hander and now into the Spiegel curve. Now miss, hit, miss. Incredibly, frighteningly fast in these cars. And then the blind braking into Defense Valley. Often see cars slip up, especially early on here. They've got probably slightly colder tires still. Watching to see if anybody is going to botch that one, but it looks like most are clean.
Yeah, everything looking pretty good here for these drivers in front. This first lap can sometimes be the most treacherous. Your tires aren't fully up to temperature. You're in your head a little bit. You haven't run around and gotten into the rhythm of the track. And so everybody doing a good job of keeping everything nice and clean here for now.
As we watch them continue on up through Bergwerks and up the hill. This is where they have a steep climb. It is flat out for a long portion of this. And drivers will start to feel the slipstream. The question is, who's going to be able to take advantage of it? Bycroft started a little far back from T, so I'm not sure if this is going to give him the chance he needs to try and finally sneak through.
It very well might here, but at the same time, Bycroft just going to keep trying to hassle. He's not really going to have a primo overtaking opportunity until they get down here around the corners. I don't think Steve's going to want to try to push the issue here, Joe. That's just not the kind of driver that Steve Bycroft is.
No, certainly not. But he's got pace. It looks like he's got pace. Just can't seem to do anything with it. It's up to 1 second ahead. So they are, it looks like maybe closing in a bit here and starting to gain a look at him just all over that gearbox.
Yeah, he is certainly starting to feel that pressure here a little bit, is Andy T. You saw that defensive move earlier on, and Andy's going to know here that he's going to be an absolute sitting duck down the Doniger Hoa unless he is able to get on the loud pedal and start to build a little bit of a gap here.
Absolutely. And let's not forget that it's not just these front four that we need to be watching. The Turk's still holding on back there. You can see him in the Warsteiner car. Jukka Tolinen is in that group. You have a little bit of a break to behind them that you just see flash up and over the hill. That's Frisha, Reed, and Trangarade.
Yeah, so everybody's still pretty close here up front. It's not like we've had a massive breakaway. Is Timothy Reed there trying to get up and by Gernot Frisha? It almost looks like Frisha's being a bit of a bottleneck here, holding them back a little bit, and that's a very surprising sentence to say.
And Frisha's admitted, though, he's not a big fan of this track, doesn't consider it one of his strengths. But yeah, Reed has been poking and prodding as they go through the Beloff S's and into Swallowtail. It's going to be single file. It's the mini carousel here, so doubt we'll see a pass attempt into this portion. He knows, though, the Dottinger Hoa is coming up, one of the longest straights on this track. That should give a good chance.
It should indeed, and rest assured that Timothy Reed does know that. He's going to tuck that car behind. Here they go onto this super long straight, and it's draft time, Joe.
I'm also watching Seppa, who's closing in on our leader, Partanen. As these two are passing, it looks like the lead's going to change hands. And Seppa's able to get side by side, but he stalls out, much like we're seeing here with Bycroft and Andy T as well. I think this is going to be a case of bravest of the late breakers. And up at the front, Partanen is able to stay ahead. Oh, and Bycroft has a problem. Off he goes. He's able to keep it from completely wrecking into the wall. He'll return to the track, but he's even farther down the order now.
And he definitely has a little bit of front wing damage there. You can see on the front of that Lotus 79. Let's go back to check out the replay here to see exactly what happened between himself and Andy T as they go down here on the Dottinger Hoa, getting ready to make their way into that curve.
I think it's ghost contact here that we're going to see. Watch this as they come up. Ooh, it's very, very close.
Oh,
and
you
then
can't.
It's second time together. This one looks a little farther apart. Is this where they come together? Hard to see. Some of the cameras don't necessarily. Here we go. Maybe the blimp will give us a decent view here. Yeah, that looked like it was netcode. So, man, 2 times coming together, but the second one was not as lucky as he comes back. He is now in 9th place.
Yeah, he is going to have some work here to do, but we've seen the speed out of Steve Bycroft as he's able to get his way up forward.
Yeah, and now Timothy Reed once again on Freesia, but he runs out of track as they come down through Ehrenberg out of the Swedish cross, way off the apex there for Gernot Freesia. And, excuse me, we're farther up than that. I was still on the replay myself. So they are actually, I think, out or into Metzgefeld now.
Yes, they are indeed. And so Ove here trying to hold on to the back. Now, remember, Ove is traditionally a driver that likes to trim out the car a little bit more, so he may be struggling a little bit through the majority of this track, but once they get to the Döttinger Höhe, some of the larger straights around here, he is really going to want to push it.
I think we're at a spot where we're not going to see any passes amongst them, so let's take a chance to go back to the opening wreck. Now, I do know that I was able to see Marco Kayla kind of initiated this. He started a 3-wide situation off the start. So let's see here. And Simpkins, I think, maybe a little bit involved with it as well. A lot of cars, honestly, just had to come to a complete halt while they were scattered across the track. Here they start to rev the engines. And there we go, off the line. Yeah, he got a great start. Can't blame him for wanting to take it, but it's just such a narrow track, and he pinches them in, pinball effect, and as they all slid into the corner, the results were obvious.
You really hate to see that, Joe. Oh, so many drivers just absolutely taken out there, and I have to agree, you want to have that fighting instinct if you're Marco Kayla, but just coming down into Sabine Schmidt there, that first curve, it was always going to happen.
Let's see what he saw. Looking over his shoulder. And I got to think that it's going to look inviting. It's going to look very tempting here. Sees himself gaining. In fact, man, he didn't even have much time to react. He almost just had to make that split-second call. And yeah, once he's on the grass, he is going to be on a ride. And he's even in the air over those curbs. They're so tall around here. Hits the 15. That's Armando Edwards. 13 gets into him. That is Barry West. Ooh, and West gets a big hit. I'm amazed that West is still rolling out there. You can see someone even backs into somebody there, trying to find their way around. Not often you have to hit reverse in these cars, and unfortunately caused even more damage, and eventually they all are able to get around. As we come back live, it is still Partanen leading Seppa, but it's up to 2.2 seconds. T can't seem to quite hang. He's taken 5 out of the 8 wins so far this season, and unless he can start to pick up the pace, it's not looking like he'll be likely to take this one.
Well, the one advantage that he will have being so far back here is that it will be able to draft ahead, or he will be able to not have any effects of the aero wash to try to catch back in, so he'll be able to run his own race a little bit. Now, where he's going to lose out, obviously, is once they get onto the Döttinger Höhe, he will not have the effect of that draft. So what he really needs to have happen is Partanen and Seppa really start squabbling with each other up ahead.
I think we had another problem for Josu Liokada, seeing if this one's worth watching here. And no, looks like just a spin off the course for the 14 and had to take a toes. We're back on to the Döttinger Höhe once again. And what's happened to Barry West? This is out of Swallowtail. So another driver that just spun on his own. Meanwhile, our leaders are once again side by side. Will we have another disaster coming into the last few chicanes? And no, Seppa's smart about it. He's going to back out. Neither of these two have taken a win yet this season, so they have got to feel the urge to really push it when it gets down to that last lap.
Exactly, and I think that last lap is where you're going to see most of the aggression really starting to rear its head, Joe. Right now, it's a lot of just being comfortable, being calm, and following the leader around here. Nobody really wants to push themselves ahead too much. They're okay just holding back a little bit.
Trying to watch and see what the lap times are of Bycroft now that he's able to get around a 5:57. And our leader's actually at 5:58, so he's still faster than the leaders, even with his damage. He's faster than T. Tolan. Yeah, he might actually be the fastest driver out on track right now.
I think he is, if my numbers are to be correct. So that is very impressive stuff with damage and still able to be that quick.
Said he was a specialist, and he's proven it once again as we come up into the Swedish cross, and Seppa gets right up there, but there's just no room, and he's going to sit behind as they break for Ehrenberg. Track's going to weave back and forth as he gets very close to making contact with that gearbox.
Yeah, very close indeed, but it seems like Severy here knows exactly where the limits of his car is. He's not pushing too hard here, being nice and careful about it, but just trying to see if he can force Paulie into a mistake. Now, the only problem with that strategy is, as close as they are, if Paulie does end up making a mistake, that's going to put him right into the firing range of Severy Seppa.
Indeed, and there's very little room to try and avoid, and very little time in how fast these cars whip through this circuit. Plunging down the hill, they once again head into the valley. And behind them, it is still about 2 seconds to Andy T, so he's not been able to gain much. He's got a few tenths, but that's going to ebb and flow around this track. There's parts that some drivers are better at and parts they're not as good.
Yeah, it's a little bit what happens when you've got such a monster like this. And Joe, just a note here, Andy T starting to catch up a little bit. He's got the gap under 1.7 seconds, so don't count out the number 2 quite yet.
Down to 1.4, so yeah, that's one of his strong parts, it appears. He's trying to get up and see if he can snag this win. Maybe the car is getting better as it gets lighter for him. Don't be surprised if you see damage on cars, as these tall curbs really not all that great for this car that likes to ride slow. And 1.4 seconds, that's the gap as they now hit Klostertal here in Kesselchen. And we'll see if that starts to come down or if he's got too much wing. I'm already seeing the gap grow. I think he's got a lot of wing in it.
Yeah, I think he does too. Oh, here comes a gutsy pass for Severy Seppa trying to go too wide.
Oh! And that's Seppa. And he's going to go in front of ADT. Did he save it? T may have gotten it a little bit. Oh, no. And there is another car involved as Seppa tried to take a tow. That is Tolanen in the 6th. So that promotes to Turk up to 3rd, Freesia into P4, and Timothy Reed into 5th.
Oh my goodness, and this is part of the dangers of trying to go side by side through here on any place that's not the Dottinger Hoa. Seppa just tries to go for the move here. A little bit of a longer run, he's able to get it, but then the track just narrows up a little bit. Here it is. Oh, he got a curb strike. He got onto the curb that unsettled the car that sent him around.
Well, to make a twist on one of Martin Brundle's phrases, as that was bravery corner, that was bravery over adhesion that time. And unfortunately, that sent him into the wall, nearly into Parton. And boy, the 7 got away extremely lucky. I think he made a little bit of contact with him as well. If we switch to the roll bar, we might be able to see. Yeah, just a little bit of a touch here. Gonna give it one more angle. I'm pretty certain T did have some contact. Wow, the lightest of brushes between the wheels. Hits the wall, and from here, there's not a whole lot he can do. Just kind of was a passenger. And then poor Tolanen, that's right on the racing line. He sees it at the last moment. and sends him in. And he was trying to escape. He was trying to hit that escape button, and unfortunately was collected. Well, this helps Bycroft up into 7th, who has caught the back of that group. And this is Partonen up at the lead. Still about 2 seconds between himself and T. We're taking a glance now at the Hoosier, who is working on Ove. Trangrade has not been able to get by quite yet. And like you said, Trangrade likes a loose car, so this is going to be a tough one. But here's a good chance coming up the Dottie Nerhoa.
Yeah, this is where that draft is really going to come into play. You see Ove kind of dancing around a little bit there, just trying to see if he can infinitesimally break the draft. Bycroft, though, just going to try to tuck behind here as much as possible. Yeah, that trimmed out setting from Ove definitely helping him out here down the main straightaway. Trying to get it. I don't think Steve's quite got the speed to get it done.
Ooh, frustration there. But neither does Reed on Freesia. Either he didn't attack or he didn't have the pace. Now, if Andy T is damaged, I got to think that he would be slow, and it looks like no. He has caught up some to Partonen. So if we could, yeah, there he is on screen now. Wow. He must have gotten lucky with a little bit of netcode saving him there, because he looked like he plowed in to Seppa pretty hard, and I'm not seeing any bent parts.
Sounding like that it was Jukka Tolinen that hit him, and that's what sent him out. Jukka having retired.
Yeah, Tolinen and T both had a little bit of a hip. But Tolinen got the worst of it, and T just got extremely lucky, it seems. We're down. How many do I have left here? 17 drivers out of our 25 starters here today. It's gobbled them up, and we're not even halfway through.
Well, it just goes to show you, Joe, the absolute difficulty of taking on the Nordschleife. Just any little bit of an off track here can send you massively out into the distances. We see there Andy T over the last couple of laps able to reel in a little bit on Paulie Parton, and it's a good run for him.
I love it. It takes so long to get laps around here halfway through the race. We don't have enough comparison laps, as 8th place has now been overtaken by Heijden, Vander Heijden, with Finnegan slipping down into P9 behind him. You can also see Pep Meyer in the 21. The Club Iberia driver just hovering around, hoping that he can maybe have a shot at getting both of these. Love the paint scheme there on that 21 as well.
Always good to see a little bit of pink popping its way into some cars. As it looks, there is that, as we lead around, that's Timothy Reed as we follow him around right now. Reed leading over Trangrade and Bycroft. Bycroft still not able to get by Ove.
It surprises me, because he seems to have very good pace out here. It's at the fastest lap, I think, of anybody still. Yeah, still holds that fastest lap. And yet is stuck behind the number 11. Even with the fast straights, the slipstream towing him along just doesn't seem to be enough to allow him to get by. Same thing with Timothy Reed that we're watching in that Alfa Romeo, stuck behind the Kopazucar of Gernot Freesia, holding the coveted number 1 with the highest I rating out there, but he's going to lose a little bit of it potentially here today, finishing only in fourth, I say, but he tends to see wins. In fact, he is the winningest most driver here in this Sunday Grand Prix series ever.
Yeah, he is, Joe, but remember, we haven't seen some absolute domination as Reed's going to have a look here on Gernot. Is he going to be able to get up on by, trying to push around? Yo! Muscling his way through.
Oh, and that stops up Ove Trangrade. He's not brave enough to go around the outside as he clips the inside curb. Freesia looks a little rattled now, but up goes Timothy Reed into 4th. Can he run away? Will this change things for Freesia as well? And Finnegan's having a problem. Finnegan is off as the 16 wrecks coming up the hill.
Oh, the rain catching out another driver. Let's go back to check out the replay here. Not sure exactly what happened to Nathan. It's going to be him up.
I think Vander Heijden. That's Vander Heijden who comes alongside, and they're coming into Bravery Corner. Oh, almost contact once. I don't think this is where it happens. Then that could have been bad as he was in the dust right there. And a second time through brave return. This does not seem to be the move. Twice now we've seen it send drivers into a race-ending wreck.
Yeah, and a little bit of netcode there, unfortunately, but I think even if we didn't have the netcode, that wreck was always going to happen, Joe.
So I don't know if anybody's listening to the broadcast as they're racing, but take note, do not go too wide into Bravery Corner. It has been a car gobbler as they come around down into Flansgarden now, one of the places where the cars can sometimes get a little bit of air as they leap over that crest. And then it's over a short rise before they head into the Beloff S's right now. Partanen still keeping T behind up in the lead with Freesia still in fourth behind Michael de Turk as, Reed's in fourth now behind Michael de Turk. Forget not, Freesia sits in fifth place trying to hold back Trangrade and Bycroft. We're coming up to the Dottinger Hoa yet again as there was another mistake from Trangrade, it seemed.
Yeah, not looking exactly stable there, but remember that car more than likely trimmed out a little bit, so he's going to be hoping to get the good run here, keep Steve Bycroft behind. What Bycroft has got to do is just minimize inputs on that steering wheel and just trail behind Ove. He's got a little bit of a run here, but is that car going to sort of stall out at top speeds?
He's got a little bit of a tow from Freesia. That's helping him. It's pulling him along. It's just enough. He's starting to get ahead. He's got to hope that that car stays on the left-hand side. And now he is in front. He closes the door. There's one more spot for Steve Bycroft as he breaks down into Hohenrade once again. So now up to sixth place, but this has been a lot of wasted time for a car that maybe could have been in the hunt for the victory. I think going for the win 10 seconds up the road is a bridge too far.
I have to agree with you, Joe. I don't think a podium is out of the realm of possibility here, potentially, if he really gets a move on. But right now, it looks like fourth may be the best he can do on the day.
So next on his list, Freesia. Timothy Reed actually starting to pull away from them up to 1.1 seconds up the road. So it's a good thing the 8 managed to get up there because he's been using it to great effect. How far are they behind Michael de Turk? About 3 seconds back there between Reed and de Turk. So not sure that we'll see a change between them unless we get a mistake out of one or the other. And this is where they come by Flugplatz and now along Cottonborn. Is this going to be enough? It's a big run from Bycroft, but he backs out of it. The track weaving back and forth, unwilling to make it side by side. Down through the Swedish cross. And the braking for Ehrenberg also keeps those yellow cars in order.
Keeping single file right here, waiting to see if they can go. Remember, not a lot of overtaking opportunity here for Bycroft. He doesn't want to try to force the issue. He's seen what can happen if you do that. It's just about follow the leader, see if he can force Gernot Freesia into a mistake, although that is one of the hardest things to do on the face of the plant.
We've seen a bobble here or there out of Gernot in this race so far, so he's not immune. But as Bycroft rides behind, and he's raced against Gernot plenty of times. Even here at this track, as Steve almost always shows up for this race and is usually the one that is up towards the front, plunging down and off to the right one more time. He's got to watch out because if it goes wrong, Trangrade's been clinging to the back of him, waiting for his chance to get that spot right back.
Yes, he has a good little three-way fight here as they work their way through the corners, down through the S there. Just trying to see if an advantage can be had. So much of this track just requires patience when you're especially trying to hold off. Bycroft, the fastest out of all of them, the only one tickling down under that 6-minute mark.
Just a heads up for those curious as well. Our hardest charger is Tim Shoecraft, who started dead last and has managed to get up to 10th right now. So the 25 car, who started in that position, went into the top 5. Here is Andy T, though, who has gotten up from 2 positions from 4th to 2nd. 1.3 now behind Parton, continuing to get closer and closer. He's got a little wing damage probably from the curbs around here. And will he be able to get it close enough that he could start to get that slipstream and maybe try to go on the attack? That's the big question.
Well, he's certainly able to close in at certain sectors of the track. Just looking over it, he's been able to close in to the tune of about 7/10.
Oh, Trangrade just went off. Trangrade off in style, Strecka, and that was all on his own. Outbraked himself and into the barrier. An embarrassing error into the side of the track. Let's watch from on board.
Going around here, you just see how quickly everything comes at you, trying to keep his eyes in front of him. Ove waiting here. It should be right around in here. Oh, just checked himself up a little bit too much and a hard clobber into the wall.
So that's enough that he had to take a tow, and day is done for Trangrade, leaving us now with only 15 drivers left on the track, still running. And look at this. T's caught him. T is up to Partonen. He is not going to take my naysaying sitting still. He is going to try to take this race by the horns and get victory number 6.
Yes, he is. Andy really and truly on the charge here, able to close down to the tune of about a second in the last 2 sectors. So he is absolutely flying here, and this is going to be crucial. 0.6 of a second. If he can keep this gap up, that means that he will be within striking range when they come to the Dottinger Hoa.
Gets this win, it'll put him tied 8th of all-time winners in the Sunday Grand Prix series. He's been really racking them up this season. Trying to see if he can maybe crack into that top 5 of all-time wins. And look at him counter-steering there as we were watching for a second. Just amazing stuff. And now he's got the tow. Here we go, Andy T coming up the Dottinger Hoa. Partonen ahead of him. About even on speed currently at 179 miles an hour. I don't think he's quite close enough. He's going to pull him in ever so slightly.
Yeah, and you can see that time just starting to come down a little bit more. There they come, going down, waiting for it to try to pull in a little bit more. It's down to under 0.5 of a second. Andy carrying a lot of speed there through the S's. He's able to get that gap down even more. It looks like Andy's better opportunities are a little bit on the binders. I think Paulie might be just a slightly bit more trimmed out.
And by the way, looks like Bycroft finally got by Freesia. Easy slipstream down the Dottinger Hoa for those two. As we're going to take a quick look at that one. And once we watch this one, Pep Meyer has now been the latest victim as well. So we'll want to hop over to that replay. And yeah, just looking much faster than that Kuprezukar machine. And eventually Freesia has to give way as he's able to pull ahead. In fact, he's already leaving him behind pretty quickly in real time right now. So the 21 of Pep Meyer, here's that incident, and same deal that we've seen so many times. 2 drivers trying to go side by side down to the braking of Tiergarten, and it ends in tears for one of them. Not sure if that's what the name was supposed to imply, but certainly is fitting.
Yeah, it certainly is, Joe. Here you see going down into the braking zone. Oh!
More ghost contact.
Yep. And that just sends Pep up and over the curbing there through the S's and hard into the wall.
Big shame. So down to 14 now left. And I see a couple that are trying to take repairs, but I doubt we'll see them back out. We got 2 laps to go. About 1.5 now, really, for them. Freesia trying to hold on to Bycroft here. See if he can ride him up to Timothy Reed. And T has had a mistake or something. 2 seconds behind. Let me check and see. where this happened. Oh, he had an off. He had an off track coming into Adenauer Forst, and that's what cost him.
And you can see there about 2 seconds back, he's starting to try to gain it back in, but that could be the race for Andy T, as we saw just how long it took for him to try to close back in to the back of Paulie Parton and before.
Not sure if we got it spooled up. It was about a minute back that this happened. And we'll see if we can get that ready. But yeah, a critical error here for that number 2 machine. And yeah, I think, yeah, we're going to see it coming up here. This is through compression. Adenauer Forst is the next one up. And there he goes, too hot into the corner. He knows it immediately, and he just bails. And thankfully for him, this is one of the few places that has some grass runoff.
Yeah, very, very lucky there from Andy T. Watch on board. Watch his hands as he realizes he's got too much coming into the corner. He'll be coming up here in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, this is through Ehrenberg here. Under the bridge, the infamous bridge, and down through Foxhole and into compression. This is a wild spot. This is one of the fastest places on the track just because of the downhill here into this left-hander, and then blind over the crest. You can't always see exactly where to put your car, and unfortunately where he put his car was way too offline.
Yeah, and look, about just halfway through the corner, recognized what happened, moved those hands over to the left, got him over there, got him back on the line. Discretion, the better part of valor, rather than trying to save on tarmac there, just opting to go over the grass. That is very, very good heads-up awareness from Andy T.
Another one swallowed up by the monster. Tomas Bartfai wrecked, coming down into, I believe this was Bridescheid. Yeah. So you're going to see the 24 just go a little too hot into the corner. He's already sporting some damage. Wow, that snapped immediately, and that Surtees just flies into the concrete.
Yeah, watch the onboard with it. Watch his hands as he tries to save it here. He feels it go opposite lock, and then pretty much just knows that there is no hope there.
Okay, 13 cars now left. They are dropping like flies. We've lost just about half the field here today, and we're just approaching the white flag. So there is Gernot Friesche riding in 6th now. Bycroft managing to get into the top 5 past him. He's been running down Timothy Reed. It's down to about 2 seconds. It's going to be a last lap pass for just getting into 4th, let alone something getting him into 3rd today. I don't think we're going to see Bycroft manage a podium. Right now, that looks to be locked up by Pardonen, T, and De Turk.
Yeah, that looks to be pretty much on lock, and Andy T especially doesn't look like he's got the legs to be able to reclose back into Paulie Parton, but it is the ring, and there is still plenty of time, even around 1 lap, for just about anything to happen, Joe.
It's all going to be down to those mistakes, I got to imagine. Look at them weaving, trying to break the slipstream, even at nearly 2 seconds apart from one another. But Bycroft looks like he is pulling it a little bit. It's down to 1.1. He is towing along Friesche slightly as well. Yeah, that's come down. It was about 1.4 before, now down to 1 second. He's going to gain on Reed, but Bycroft's not going to be close enough to attack this time by the time they hit the braking. He's going to have to hope, I think, to be close enough down Cottonborn out of the Flugplatz. Oh, no, Barry West with another problem. Barry West into the wall through YouTube corner.
Oh, and here it comes. He's been able to keep that car relatively clean here. And oh, just barely stepped out on him.
Unfortunate stuff. So we're going to see it one more time. Actually, no, I take it back. That was in the ice curve, I think, maybe. Yeah, ice curve there. Just up and over the hill after YouTube corner. And finding the namesake a little too accurate for him as the car gave up grip. And into the Armco he went, and he tried to drive away from it for what it's worth, but yeah, the car was just not running accurately, so he took a tow. We actually still have 11 of the cars on the lead lap. Schuster is a lap down, who is trying to limp this thing around to a finish here, and he's going to be rewarded for what it's worth. The 17 is going to finish in 14th position, actually maybe even 12th as it sits. Oh, Reed just got passed by Bycroft. Bycroft just got him now, and my prediction was accurate. He got him coming through Cottonbourne.
Wow, good moves there for him. He is able to get it done. Let's check out this replay. This is just sheer tenacity, Joe, that allowed for Steve Bycroft to get on by.
Had the slipstream. This is difficult here. You need them to play ball with you. T didn't want to earlier. He weaved a little back and forth to block his momentum, but I think Reed saw the writing on the wall, felt like it's easier to just let him through and ride the coattails. That'll move Reed down to 5th. Bycroft up to 4th. 3 seconds to Michael DeTurk. DeTurk's been running consistent 58s and 56s. Bycroft ran a 54. That is a full second faster than anybody else in this race has run.
That is just remarkable from Steve Bycroft. Joe, earlier in the broadcast, you talked about kind of being an expert here at the Nürburgring. My goodness.
Oh, no! Commentators curse again. Bycroft spins it and gives up all his hard work. The 3 falls to P6. Watch it. This is coming down, I think, into Defense Valley through the triple apex of hit, miss, hit. Or miss, hit, miss, rather. Is he too hot? He's too hot.
Yep. Oh, very, very lucky he did not have any damage from that. That was just a mere spin. So no outside damage on the wall, but it just breaks your heart for Steve Bycroft.
Yeah, I wanted to see that comeback story completed, and he'll have to settle for 6th. Started from P3 as well here today, as his number also shows, and Freesia still trying to hang on to Reed. Can he maybe make a fight out of this? It's 1.1 seconds by the time they come through Stylestrecke. Andy T's been back and forth as well, by the way. That's hovered between 2 seconds to nearly 3.5 seconds on Partanen. So I'm not sure that that's a gap that's going to come down unless we get a mistake out of the 7 as well here on the final lap. And they have less than half a lap to go, too. So the chances are dwindling for T to make it 6 wins. Partanen is currently going to take his first of the season if it remains as it sits.
Indeed it is. We watch here Reed trying to close in on Gernot trying to close in on the back of Timothy Reed here. This is for 4th place. This is the closest battle that we've really got up in the top 10 right now. Trying to see if there's anything to be had. He wants to try to get within that about second marker to be able to get a move down the Dottinger Hoa.
Indeed, and got to think that he's going to get a good shot at it. It's hovered back at around 1.6 seconds now, so it's gone up. He needs about that 1 second mark, you got to think, to try and get back by over Flansgarden and then back up and over the crest. Car gets so light through there, it is blind over those leaps that the car takes. It doesn't get air, but man, does it get light.
Yeah, it really does, Joe. And when you're in those areas, you've got to be very, very careful not to be applying steering input into those moments. Is when the car comes back to full weight, the car will just automatically want to snap away from you.
It's just about done and dusted for our leaders because Partanen is onto the Dottinger Hoa, 2.6 seconds to Andy T. There you see the gap. That is too far. That's not going to be close enough for him to reel him in, and especially what we've seen, Andy looks like he's put a lot of wing in it today. So, yeah, the gap is actually increasing. Partanen able to trim it out, helping himself to get up to the front and be able to master the ring today as he comes up to the last few corners. The number 7, Pauli Partanen, came into this race 8th in the points. This is going to help him. It won't give him a championship run, but a feather in his cap as he takes the win here at the ring.
A fantastic run from Polly Parton and Andy T coming home second. Michael DeTurk coming home third to round out your podium. You see the happy little wiggles there of the drivers. Steve Bycroft so close there to being able to go into his way forward. He's going to have to settle for sixth.
Van der Heijden up into 7th after qualifying 16th. Nice job here to work his way forward. And Shoecraft, by the way, who I mentioned, hardest charger, 25th to 8th here as Van der Heijden comes across the line. Shoecraft is just flying along the Dodinger Hoa now. Do we have another change for position? We did. Gary Ho gave a spot up to Wilkinson and almost looks like he let him through. So, not sure if he, or maybe he did it intentionally. Is he going to try and sneak it back on him? Did he want to be the second car in line here as he starts to pull him back forward? Gary Ho's got a good run here. The Club Asia driver is looking to the left-hand side. Oh my goodness, did he pull a sneaky move on him? Wilkinson not really able to defend, but he is going to be side by side. Oh, and if he tried to pull a sneaky move, it backfired as Ho backs out. And he's going to have to settle for 11th place. In the end, maybe little slip up there from Wilkinson. He's got to play defense. Oh, he's going to lose it. He's going to spin himself around and back it across the finish line. So Wilkinson will wind up. Oh, no, he scored ahead of him. He scored ahead of him. He must have crossed the line just as he spun. So Ho has to settle for 11th, and that is going to take us to a break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to the Nürburgring. The Nordschleife certainly had its fair share of victims here today in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, but Pauli Partanen was not among them. He managed to rebuff the attacks from Andy T, made him make a mistake, and came away the victors. T was second in the end, about 2.5 seconds behind Michael DeTurk, a nice quiet third place. Timothy Reed finished in fourth today from 8th on the grid. Gernot Friesche was behind him, getting a top 5, and poor Steve Bycroft, his own mistakes costing him here and winding up in 6th. Terry van der Heijden in 7th from 16th, done one better by Tim Shoecraft, going from 25th to 8th. Karthik Pai survived the opening wreck and managed a 9th as Tim Wilkinson spun across the line and got a top 10 with only one other driver able to finish here, DJ.
And that one driver was Gary Ho, who was just barely beat by Tim Wilkinson. Barry Lest came home a lap down with some damage to Spotify. Andreas Schuster, Pep Meyer, Ove Trangrade, Nathan Finnegan, Severi Seppa, Jukka Tolinen, and Jose Locosta, all non-finishers here today.
Same for the next 5 as well, which takes us to our winner, Pauli Partanen here, his first win of the season, and I'm sure that is one that he is proud of, because Pauli, it took you a bit to get up to the top step this season, but the ring is a good place to do it.
Yeah, this is the best place to do it, really. Yeah, I had very horrible season, like very bad luck and very bad mistakes whole season, so this victory feels very nice.
You had Andy T starting to catch you at one point during the race, and then he made a mistake. How nervous were you with him catching up? Because it looked like you had a very fast car in a straight line.
Yeah, my setup was in a way that I will able to keep Andy behind me on the straights, and I will lose in the corners. So I was not really worried that Andy will overtake me, but he's always very, very dangerous. He's very good with the overtaking, and I was lucky he made a mistake, because if he would be behind me, maybe he got a chance if I made some mistake or something like that. So that was very good news for me when he went out.
Indeed. And that's not the only luck you had. Have you had a chance to look at the replay for the incident with Seppa there? As far as we could tell, there was the tiniest bit of contact between you two going through Bravery Corner.
In my screen, we didn't really have any contact, but I need to check it from the broadcast also, so I haven't seen that yet. But yeah, very bad for Severi. He had very good pace. Severi was much faster than me, so he deserved to win today, but he was a bit unlucky.
Yeah, sometimes that happens at the Nürburgring. Congratulations. Anybody you want to thank for today's victory?
Thanks for Severi for setup. Very much helped me whole week. And thanks for Jukka, as always. And you guys also, very good broadcasters.
Thank you very much. Pauli Partanen with the win, as Andy T came home second place, but still helps his championship hopes. DJ's caught up with him.
Yeah, Andy, a little bit of a disappointing day out there, but still on the podium. How you feeling?
What do you mean disappointing, man? Second at Nordschleife, nearly died 3 times. How am I on the podium, man?
Well, talk me through a little bit of the recovery from your near incident there. I mean, how white knuckling were you after that?
Before I say anything else, fantastic win for Pauli, great pace, well deserved. Good job, dude, you deserve it. Yeah, so Steve Cully had top end on me, and I was just getting the feel. I haven't practiced since about Wednesday or something silly. Personal life in the way, so tough combo. Yeah, and I honestly, I've made the joke before, he's Steve let you Bycroft. Like, you go too wide with him, he makes a mistake or lets you go, and he made a mistake and nearly took us both out, which, whatever. And I'm not too fussed, man. I grabbed the car straight away and just focus straight on. The one that was more worrying was Severi in front of me, because I'm just a passenger. Like, completely flat through the corner, and then he's doing the helicopter, the Teemu Vaskilampi helicopter in front of me. Like, what do you do? He just like, oh, okay, I hope I miss him.
Well, you did manage to miss him, and I mean, were you struggling with a little bit of damage there after that last moment, or was it just kind of holding on?
Yeah, I took some front wing damage and smashed the floor on the curb, so I just didn't have the same grip I had before. It happens. But to be honest, the second place puts me one step closer to the championship, so yeah, we're nearly there, boys.
Nearly there indeed. Only a couple of rounds to go. Anybody you want to thank for this run here today?
Lotus guys for all your work, everyone posting setups, fantastic. You guys for the amazing broadcast as always. My fam, Raccoon Racing, and of course, Hoops. They're just incredible. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Andy. That was Andy T, your second place finisher here today. And now, Joe, I believe you've caught up with Mr. Michael DeTurk.
I have indeed. And Michael, we heard excitement from Andy about a second place. Is it similar feelings about a third?
Finishing is excitement at Nords in Lotus 79, so definitely.
So you gathered up a couple by attrition, which is kind of natural here at the ring. But one of those being seeing poor Tolanen get collected going up the hill. Describe that from your view.
You know, I knew Yuka was faster than me. He almost always is, especially in top speed. You know, he's always got it trimmed out. And so I had let him go. I was making a few mistakes earlier. I knew it was going to be easier just to try to stick in his draft and stay out of trouble. Maybe he would make a mistake. And came up the hill with that yellow flag. And Seppa was, I think, dead against the wall, half on the track. I'm not really sure. We were going so fast. And I lifted a little bit, but I don't know if I shot under them, by them, but it was terrifying.
I can only imagine. Once that happened, you seem to kind of be mostly on your own. How hard were you pushing from there? Did you feel the urge to have to push to keep those behind you, or were you kind of just trying to get to the finish knowing what the ring can do?
A bit of both. Tim was definitely fast the whole race, and you know, behind him you have Gernot and Steve, which if you sleep on, you're just going to lose positions because they're always trimmed out. And I was definitely pushing. I mean, Andy only, I think, beat me for fastest lap by 0.05 of a second. So there was only one place towards the end where I would say I took it easy, and that was the last lap going into the carousel. I didn't want to skip out and die.
I kind of don't blame you, to be honest. But your fourth podium of the season, you've been racking up more and more of them. Coming into these last rounds, what's the goal?
Keep trying to stay out of trouble. I would say finish well, but stay out of trouble seems to do that pretty well. So do my best through Barber and Watkins Glen and win Long Beach.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out for you. Congratulations on a third. Anybody you want to shout out to?
Hope my dad enjoyed it today, and hopefully you guys had an entertaining broadcast for us. So.
Oh, it definitely was entertaining. That was Michael DeTurk, who finished third. And that's going to wrap up our interview. So we want to give some thank yous as well. First to our sponsor, of course. Again, if you want to get setups from the Majors Garage, go and check them out through our link in the description below. And make sure, if you do so, to use our code MajorsGSRC. You'll get 10% off. Also, thanks to the Lotus 79 community themselves for bringing us back for another season of coverage here. And also, a thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde to provide our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, DJ, Rob, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store, gsrc.storenv.com. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel while you're down there, because you don't want to miss the next race at Barber, my personal favorite here on the iRacing service. That'll be Sunday, February 20th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. However, we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar, including this evening. This will be a neat one. The PRL NASCAR Cup Series goes to Daytona, but not the oval. It's the road course, the NASCAR version of it. That'll be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.